Okay, that's fine, Paul. I mean, I stole your sword, so... I feel like Layla and Maria would kind of be besties, like, in the way of go fuck you die bitch, but I think they would actually be friends. Oh, hello, hi Yosef. So Leon. He better be going on, like, some trip of self-exploration. Hello? Hi, Yosef. Oh my god, I actually killed the Emperor. Wow, okay. Oh, that is such a sharp contrast to fighting Chaos. I was expecting him to have like 10,000 or 20,000, however much HP Chaos had. Not paper cut. Dies. Oh. I buffed myself for nothing. I think even with the blood sword as it was, probably we just would have killed him. I know this is the same message from the first one, because these are both pixel remasters, but I still think it's very touching that they add a thank you at the end of the game. They do this in 14 every year as well for the anniversary of the game. You get to have the game insert of Yoshi P giving you a personal thank you for playing the game, regardless of when you started playing. And then it adds more to a poem that has been going on for a while. So... Overall thoughts. The story flow was a lot better. It was a lot more direct in where I needed to go. I got lost a lot less. I still got lost in parts, but I got lost a lot less. There were context clues. The keyword thing was really cool. I do like that they had additional context for certain words that were highlighted. If there was a key item that you needed to get, they would highlight that in green so you know it was important. I do like that. Hi, Rin, you're so gentlemanly. Oh, you're so sweet. But, so that was cool. In terms of, like, dialogue context, having the protagonists have dialogue, lines amongst each other and other characters that are very notable, very good. Story, very bleak. Oh my god, so many people died, and it was all people that were, like, important in some way, like civilians for whole cities died. You got key characters dying left and right. I agree with Hilda. I don't know how much more of that I could take, because that was just crazy. They were killing off pretty much every single fucking important character except Hilda and Gordon. And I guess Leon, but Leon was kind of evil for most of the game. Okay, grievances. battle. Obviously, I think they revamped almost the entire thing. The statistic for getting some form of debuff or proc, regardless of level, insane. The amount of entities that cause poison, disgusting. Don't ever do that again. That was really annoying, actually. I could deal with paralysis, I could deal with curse. Those were fine. Those were whatever. Poison, on the other hand, Jesus fucking Christ. I want to say, like, at least a third of the enemies could all poison you at some point. That's a really high number. Leveling mechanics. I think they're really solid when you're, like, before the halfway point of the game. There is some parts that are somewhat salvageable at the halfway point of the game, but if you pick things up too late, new things, and you get characters in your party way later in the game, looks at Leon, looks at Rickard, like, both of them come in very late, they're very weak in terms of level, they're not scaled to, I would say, an approximation of what your character's level should be. I would say, as a comparative, you starting at level 1, you have fucking nothing for health. They were probably at, like, level 15, whereas the rest of the characters I had in my roster for the whole game were probably at, like, level 65. As a rough estimate. Late game, when you get new items, or if you get a weapon that is really fucking good in terms of damage output, but you give it to a character that is supposed to do high damage output that is not trained for said weapon. Like, the variety of weapons they have was pretty cool. But giving me a dagger that does really good fucking damage way late in the game, when I have characters that have probably more adequately leveled with swords, axes, and spears, does not help. They have a higher miss rate, you have to grind that shit into the dirt to get them to even be able to hit something without dying. That is questionable. The open ability to build the characters how you want is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you can... it's very flexible, but on the other, the way that they level individually hurts. As seen throughout the entire gameplay, there are some spells I utilized more than others. There's moments where I decided, you know what, I should probably use certain spells more than others. I still had a good chunk of spells that were still level 1, because I just didn't touch them. And I thought I would need them at some point. And just never fucking used them. Ultima, I thought was going to do more. Because they praised it as insane destructive magic, but honestly... Fire did more! But there were also a lot of entities that were weak to fire. You also had a bunch of entities that were null types, so they didn't actually have any preference against any kind of element. They just kind of took it. But it was just genuinely frustrating getting a new thing and having to grind it against higher level enemies, having the miss rate be high, or just doing fuck all kinds of damage. And for spells specifically, especially offensive spells, having the AoE do about, say, 40-something points of damage for all enemies, not great. Especially when you're fighting one guy with fire whatever, and you have any damage output between 120 to 1200. Also, that range is gross, right? But 120 to 1200 range damage output on a single target, depending on level and resistance, versus AoE, which is static almost like 40-something. Maybe 100, 200 if it's effective against them. Is not good. Especially when the spells level individually, and if I have Fire 3 versus Fire 10, I expect Fire 10 to do way more damage than Fire 3 on an AoE basis. There's actually been a couple times where I kind of like look at the spell level and I question what the actual damage output is, or if it's just increasing the range of damage output. Because between, like, say, for example, Drain 3 and 4, there was almost no change. And seeing other entities casting, like, Flare 16, or whatever, and getting, like, maybe 100 points of damage at most, if not, like, 47 on average, kinda defeats the power of the spell, because if they're hitting me with fucking Flare 16 when the highest level spell I have was 9 or 10, I expect that to do like 500 plus points of damage on an AoE alone. So, my understanding with the offensive spells is when you level them, you're not necessarily making the spell stronger, you are increasing the damage range of those spells, and that's really fucked. Battle mechanics. There was a lot that has changed between the first and the second one. Introduction of certain enemies that had special conditions. The undead healing from, like, life drain spells or whatever, I think was in the first one. Using spells that would insta-kill would also just kind of heal them, which I get it. Magic ignoring defense brackets is kinda funny, if not busted to hell. The bouncing in defense of seeing a guy deal like 900 something points of damage and then 12 right after is kinda weird. I don't like that. Having, like, being hit by someone so underleveled and then dealing nothing makes sense, right? You just shrug it off. I don't know. I just felt like the attack defense thing was really clunky. Something just felt really off with it. Because, like, there would be moments where sometimes I'll hit the same dude for, like, 12 points. And then the second hit from the same character attacking the same target would suddenly be closer to 1,000. And that doesn't really make sense. I don't understand what's going on. It doesn't... I don't get it. It just felt like leveling was more accuracy increases and increasing a damage range output, which doesn't really work very well. The insta-kill thing. I get very few entities can do this. The co-roll makes no sense. I don't understand. What are they? The Death Knights, the Death Riders? What are they? Those things? Dealing 5,000 points of health on a guy that has 6,000 points. Or, sorry, 5,000 points of damage on a guy that has, like, 6,000 points. To immediately put them in the red? Ridiculous. I don't understand that. It's weird, especially when they appear in groups, because they are set to be a TPK entity. But, I guess with their alleged weakness to fire, who knows what else, but their alleged weakness to fire, it kind of loops back into the spell AoE thing. Right? Because if my AoE spells do 40-something points to 100-something points of damage, period, and those motherfuckers deal 1,000+ points of damage to heal, I will not be able to kill them. With their biggest weakness. I have to single target them, and I have to hope that my physical fighters can also single target them. This does bring back, though, to a thing I said earlier, where you could probably do a meme run with nothing but magic casters, and it would honestly probably streamline the absolute shit out of this entire game. The blood sword is also kind of a weird one, because it's like, it sucked the health out of things, and when it hit hard sometimes, and other times it acted like a normal weapon. That thing 100% cheesed the fight against the Emperor. I don't understand how, but it did that thing where the weakest character I had, that I gave that to as like a safety net, did a hit with the normal weapon, did fuck all, and then hit the guy for, was it 4,700 points of damage? Like, that just ate him for breakfast. It was weird. It was really funny, but it was just... I don't understand the damage output scripting for this game. I think that was probably one of the most confusing things and most frustrating things of this game, was the damage output. Especially with Pandemonium, dealing with the Corals somehow just fucking one-shotting me after seeing 0 damage, and then also the death whatever, and putting me in the red instantly. Like, that's disgusting. I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've rambled on for like a million years. I'm gonna probably hop straight into Final Fantasy III after I get something to eat, but frustrations aside, and literal grievances aside of them killing every single key character except the ones you are playing, Hilda and Gordon, it was actually really enjoyable. I was having a lot of fun with it. Like, if I had to go somewhere, or like, whatever, the moment I got to my computer, I was just really excited to pop this open and finish it. Like, to just play more of this. I just found it was really enjoyable. It was really cool. Definitely some things that shocked me, like the fucking, the green souls, or whatever they were, just doing nothing but healing you was kind of interesting. Very, very fun wrench to throw in there. But yeah, no, I'm excited to play 3 and see what the fuck is going on there, what's changed and what's the same. Because I think with how much of an overhaul they did between 1 and 2, I think 2 had a much more solid system in place, but there's definitely a lot of kinks to like work out. The direction in playing through the story is a lot more concise, and I do also really enjoy normal NPCs, like not even ones that you have to use the keywords in, their dialogue changing to events happening around them. I really enjoy that, because it adds additional context clues of where you need to go, but it also kind of like flavors the world a little bit more, right? Like, oh, Yosef, he has this thing to traverse the snow. Yosef dies, everybody is upset. The Dreadnought, you know, this thing it's terrible, it's being built. The Dreadnought is finished and launches. Everyone is like, either dead and grieving, or please tell Princess Hilda you need to stop that thing. I liked that. That was very good for world immersion. That was very, very good. I think the focus shift, and like, these games are long since published, but again, I'm playing these as blind as possible. I don't have a clue what happens in 3. I think the biggest overhaul that would have to happen from 2 would be the fight system, because that was single-handedly the most frustrating thing in the game. Okay, I've rambled on enough, I think. I don't know. I liked it. I thought that was cool. But man, was that bleak as fuck, man. But yeah, not this. Oh, there was a bestiary. Hold on. Oh, that's cool. It shows the things. Okay, so there was an alternate to the sprinter. There was an alternate to the deadhead. Alternate to... There was a Borgin alternate? There was an alternate to Borger? That's weird. Sea Dragon, Manta Ray... So there probably was a third version of these guys. Yeah, there was 3 versions of the Killer Mantis. Oh, no, there were 3... Okay, hold on. These 2 are probably in Pandemonium. I don't really care. Gaiadron. Weakness none, absorbs fire, yeah, I learned that. What about you? No weakness. Yeah, okay. That... Ooh, hi. Hi, Deimos. The resistance made sense there. What about you? I know what his weakness is with the fucking blood sword. That's funny. Monster rank 7. So 7 was the highest rank they could go? Okay. What about you? What was your fucking problem? You just had hella defense, that was your problem. Jesus Christ. Yeah, there was an alternate to that one I didn't get. So there's at least... at maximum 4 different flavors of these guys. Okay. Yeah. I remember... Let's see. Guy. He's just a guy. They really wanted him to look dopey as shit. Look at this. He's built, though. Look at them thighs. God damn, dude. Here's Maria. Spirion. Oh, the Iron Giants were the things I didn't run into. For sure. See, okay. The concept art for these guys and the pixel art did not translate somewhere. Because his abs are in place in the right spot, but the sprite for him did not translate that. Me when I'm woken up abruptly and I want to sleep more. This thing. I saw that in the gallery. And I cried. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I'll call it here and maybe get started on 3. I'm very excited. I just want to do nothing but, like, mow through all these games. Okay, bye.